Breakfast with Bob.
Welcome again to Breakfast with Bob. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're brought to you by the PTO, the Pro Triathletes Organization, by Amp Human, VeloFix, Normatec, Form Goggles, UCAN, and our Challenged Athletes Foundation. In our first 27 years, we've now sent out 30,000 grants and raised $123 million to keep challenged athletes in the game of life through sport. Our next guest, one of our favorite people on the planet. She is the four-time Ironman World Champion, Ironman World Champion record holder, five-time Ironman 70.3 World Champion. The amazing Daniela Ryf joins us. Daniela, how are you?
Hi, Bob. Thanks. I'm good.
Wonderful. So how are you getting through all this craziness? I know you like to race like I like to race. Not being able to race, how hard has this been?
I do miss the races. I think it's been a challenging year for everyone. I mean, I can actually call myself lucky. Like, we have quite a good surrounding here. Like, we have the pool that's been, I mean, in Switzerland, the pool has been shut for maybe 2 months, but now it's been quite stable. And I'm training in St. Moritz, so I have a few people around who are also quite motivated. So that really helps to get up in the morning. But I think to actually have the races being always, canceled or changed, it's been kind of a bit of a challenge, of course. Especially when like the last race of this year was canceled, it's kind of like, okay, so what do we do? Do we take a break, or are we just working now for next year? And I guess to actually have the hope to always have races is been good for me, because I've had a really good training the last few months. So it's not like I wasn't motivated, but now it's kind of like the next step. We have to kind of reorganize and think, okay, what do we do? Because it looks like it's going to be another few months, maybe even half a year, where we have to just keep training and focus on what we can do.
So for you had so much success winning Ironman World Championship 4 times in a row, 70.3 race 5 times in a row. But I'm sure you also knew that, there's going to be days that just aren't your day, where you're sick or you're injured. So in 2018, you get stung by a jellyfish and get through that and end up breaking the course record, winning your 4th in a row. This year, I think you were sick going into Kona when you arrived, and probably should not have raced. From my discussions with Brett Sutton, he felt like Daniela really should not race. After getting through what happened with the jellyfish the year before, did you feel like, okay, maybe I don't feel good right now, but you never know on race day, things can turn around?
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely glad I did race, because if I didn't, I would not have known what would have happened. And I mean, I was, having a stomach bug. I felt bad, but I didn't feel like crazy bad. It just was, I was not having any energy. So it wasn't like I was having 42 degrees of fever, so it was kind of like, it's always worth, I think, to try. But then, yeah, in a race like this, especially in a tough conditions and such a good field, eventually you can't really hide your sickness. It's the jellyfish I could kind of get over with, and I found some extra power. And then sometimes it doesn't work out, but I'm definitely happy I tried, because I think, if you're afraid of something and then you don't try it because you're afraid, I think that's much worse than actually just trying and then see what happens, and then maybe you fail. But I didn't see it really as a failure. I mean, I did what I could, and like this, when I finished the race, I was also not really disappointed, because I knew I just couldn't on that day. I couldn't do any better. It was just not possible.
I remember interviewing Mark Allen once, the 6-time Ironman World Champion, and he was in Nice and woke up sick on race morning and was thinking, I really shouldn't go to the start line. But then he made the decision, you know what? I'm going to get 100% out of whatever I have. And even if I'm only at 50% or 60%, I'm going to get 100% and be happy with the effort. And exactly. He ended up winning his, I think it might have been his 10th Nice title, because you never know. Right? If you don't go to the line, that's for sure what's going to happen. But if you go to the line, I mean, you ended up finishing 13th, and these are the best people on the planet.
I've had races where I went to start line where I also had like a sinus infection, and I did have felt like I was having fever, and It was actually the race in Bahrain when I was going for the Triple Crown. So it was quite a lot on the line. And when you go to the start line, you're like, okay, now you just have to deal with what you have. And there as well, it showed that sometimes you can really, you know, take something out of your body which you wouldn't think it's possible. And then of course there's other days then it doesn't work. But if you don't try, you know, you don't know. So I think not knowing is always worse than just trying.
So when you come off of that, you've won 4 times in a row over that in Kona. You normally come home and it's all sorts of media and you're traveling and doing all sorts of things like that. What was the reception like when you didn't win this year?
It was actually quite positive. I was surprised. I heard had a lot of messages, and also from the media. I don't really follow all the media. I don't read all the newspapers who write about me. I try to just avoid it or ignore it a bit. But from what I heard and what people told me, some said they thought it was even a bigger effort because they like that I inspired them to not give up. And yeah, it was nice to hear that it doesn't always matter to win. It's also the effort, and that's what I always try anyway. Like I never really, for me, the win is, yeah, of course it's nice to win, but in the end, all you can focus is on the effort, and you can't really, the win is kind of like something you can't plan. Like it depends what the others do, and you can just give your best. And I think this was really, I think some people might have been just happy that I once didn't win, but I had a lot of good, I felt like quite supported also from my sponsors and everyone. So yeah, and I think the most important for me that I wasn't disappointed in my performance, because I just knew I was disappointed that I was sick, of course, but that's something
can't control.
I think the hand hygiene, we all learned now through Corona that you have to disinfect your hands much more when you meet people. That's one thing I already learned in Kona. I think having press conferences and stuff, I might have been a little not careful enough. And I think we all learned that now, that it's always important to look after yourself, especially before a race, to then not get sick of anything.
The hard part is when you have a race, when Kona is the last race of the year, it's not like you can go out the next week and go race somewhere else. So were you motivated to go, okay, next year I'm gonna make sure that everybody understands that I'm gonna come to the start line 100% and be ready to get my title back. What did you come away with from that race in terms of coming into this next year?
I was definitely motivated to get back there and do it. I would say maybe better is the wrong way, but because I was prepared well and I was ready to race. But I mean, some things it can also just happen. But I was, normally like if something doesn't go how it's should or how it's planned, then that motivates me to do it better next time. So I was definitely motivated to go back next year. But then also I knew, like, I didn't feel like racing straight away again. I knew also the whole preparation for Kona, it takes a lot out of you mentally. And often, or pretty much always after Kona, I do need a little bit of a break to just take some time at home and see my friends and family. It really helps me to reload energy and then start again for the next year.
When you look back at you as an athlete coming off of 2004, getting 7th in the Olympics, and I think got 40th in 2012, and your whole thing was an Olympic athlete. If someone had told you back then that, hey, you know what, 10 years from now, you're going to be the best long distance triathlete on the planet, you're going to win the Ironman 4 times in a row. Did that even enter your mind of doing long distance racing?
No, back then I definitely didn't think I would be ever a long distance athlete. I always thought these guys are a little bit crazy. So I guess now I'm crazy myself. And no, I never thought it was possible, to be honest. I just thought it was way too long and I didn't think I would be able to do this. I was quite happy in the short course. But then when I started, training with Brett, he kind of told me pretty soon that there's some potential maybe in the other discipline. And I'm definitely happy I did try to go along. And if someone told me that maybe now it's 7 years ago, or even 10 years ago when I was in Seoul, that's to 10. When someone told me the way which I'm going to go, I never would have believed it. That's for sure. Yeah.
And from that first time you came over to Kona, because you'd been to the Olympics twice. So when you come over to Kona for the first time in 2014, you'd obviously been at Ironman Switzerland, but you hadn't been that immersed in the long distance side of it. Did it surprise you, just the whole feel when you got to Kona, just that it was maybe bigger than you thought it might be?
It was different. It was more like family, like everyone kind of organized it. Is it with their team, where at the Olympics it's all about the national team, which was also really cool. But to be able to go to Kona, I had my own little, my mom was there and supporting me, and Robbie and Susie, the assistant coach of Brett, and it was definitely different. I felt, to be honest, I did feel a little bit lost because I didn't know what I had to do. I was quite unsure, even about nutrition and everything. So it's also kind of refreshing. If you don't know what to do, you just kind of try and do it.
Yeah.
But I definitely was happy then to make some experience. And I remember I was always asking Jan van Berkel and some other guys, so what do I do here? And like, how do I do this? And the best advice Jan once gave me was just swim, bike and run and you'll be fine. So that's pretty much, going back to simple always helps. Yeah.
It's funny because the first time we met was right there at Hugo's on the run course during the show in 2014 when you came over after winning 70.3 Worlds. And I remember you saying, so is this where we run? Is this right here on Aligi Drive? Because you were coming in and it was all so new. Was it fun? It was almost like a new sport for you?
I wouldn't call it fun. I mean, it was new. I was still nervous. Like I think I was maybe, I was not too scared, which was good. I was just kind of keen to go out there and see what happens and push hard. And that's what I did the first year. And this part I definitely enjoyed, to just, go hard and really race hard. And I think also having the opportunity to push the bike on my own was new to actually having in the Olympic distance. You kind of have it all tactically. So right. This was definitely more fun because you could actually, for me it was better because I could really use my strength and try to make a gap already on the bike. And so this I definitely enjoyed. Yeah.
So when you come back home after getting second at the World Championships, did it change things for you in terms of more sponsors, more awareness? Was it different than coming back after doing the Olympics?
That's a good question. I definitely think, I mean, the Olympics are pretty big too. I think I was already lucky to have, really great supporters and sponsors when I was in 2008 and 2012. So I did have already partners who I'm still with now, like Red Bull and also Felt and Urkas. And but I think to win, I think the long distance offers some different opportunities for the sponsors. You have more opportunities to place the logos.
Yes.
Olympics is very hard for sponsors because there's so many rules with the restrictions, and to actually be able to congratulate me on newspapers after Kona was different to the Olympics, because after the Olympics you're not allowed to use that to do that as a sponsor. So I did feel like they saw the opportunity to have that platform in Kona, which is pretty big. And I think it's also, as a long course athlete, I mean, it's a little bit different. It was always quite surprising to me because the Ironman seems tougher than the Olympics. in triathlon, which I never thought is true. I think Olympics in triathlon is super tough. To be able to run 10K in 31 minutes hurts a lot. I think it hurts more than running a marathon off the bike of 180K, but that's just, I think, also maybe a little bit personal. And I was surprised how big the impression was that Ironman is like the toughest thing you can do. And I guess it is tough, but if you've done it a few times, you think it's less tough, you know? So I was surprised about the respect that people thought it was such an amazing achievement. Where after the Olympics coming 7th, for me, that was, I would say, a huge achievement. I would count it as important to me as the Kona win. And so it was interesting to see the resonance. Yeah.
One of the things that I always love is when athletes give back. And during this time of COVID, I saw that that's something important to you, to help people out who've been affected. Talk a little bit about that and why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it hit us all pretty hard when I was in the lockdown. I was actually, just before lockdown, I was still in Spain, and then I flew home. And I mean, I did feel quite lucky to be able to still, you know, have I had a home, which is nice, and I could go in the forest and train. And so I did think a lot about, all the people who had to shut down their businesses. I mean, I could still train, so I didn't really have to shut down my business. I could keep doing what I like and what I do for a living. And to think about the restaurants and all these who had to shut down, I did try to actually order more. I was really impressed how they changed the they had to close their restaurants, so they did delivery services and stuff like this. So I did support that a bit, and then the shelter homes in my region, which I think in the beginning was a little bit underestimated. That, you know, people who have, everyone said, "Oh, stay safe, stay home," and in the lockdown, and I did think about people who might not be safe at home, and so I did take contact with a shelter home in my region, and did try to support them a little bit. And it had impact on so many people, and to support just a little bit, even if you just support your local restaurant and give them, you know, a few more orders to actually keep their restaurant going. I think it's also some little things you could do which help them to also stay motivated.
So you have been with Brett Sutton going back to before your first Ironman. What has he brought to the table for you as a coach and mentor and supporter?
It's lots of things. I think it's always almost hard to remember all of them, because it's been 6 years. So every year there's something new I think I could learn. To actually believe in yourself and not be afraid of trying things is one thing. I definitely sometimes, let me hold back. So he would sometimes throw me in the cold water, which I didn't really want to jump in, and then be like, oh, it's not even that bad. So and then of course in race tactics, how to approach the race, but also in training. I think that was probably the most important. I've always been, a person who likes to train. I definitely had phases where I probably did too much, and then coming to Ironman, I started to train less, and I got better. So I think he definitely showed me that the balance about recovery and the hard training, which of course we also do, is very important. And it's been on a physical, but also on a, of course, mental aspect, where he definitely could help me a lot in the last 6 years. Yeah.
What do you look at as the most important race that you've done? A race that you did that basically told you something about yourself, maybe that you didn't know?
Oh, it's quite hard. For me, always the nicest was to surprise myself. For example, the first Ironman, that definitely was probably the most impressive for myself because I just thought I would never make the distance. And then it felt so, I wouldn't call it easy, but it just felt natural. And
Yes.
that feeling was, if you can actually do better than you expect, it's really an amazing feeling.
So when you, and I always love the fact that you were negotiating with Brett for that Ironman Switzerland, where he wanted you to do the full and you wanted to do the Olympic. And the decision was, okay, as a negotiator, you decided, well, I'll do both of them. That was the negotiation. It seems like I'll do one or the other. No, I'll do both.
Yeah, sometimes you have to negotiate. If you can't find a solution, you have to find it in the middle.
There was no middle there. You did both of them.
Yeah, well, that's the middle. So both.
when you're doing with Brett, that's the middle. I like it.
Yeah.
And so you do the Olympic one day, and when you do the full, did you feel like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing a full? Did you? Because every time when you're out there that long, I'm sure you were swimming further than you ever swam, and riding further than you ever rode, and running further than you ever ran during the race. Did you surprise yourself by that?
Yeah, that was my first one. So I mean, swam. Of course, I've swum more than four or four. How long is this? Yeah, like I swam
2.4. Yeah.
Yeah, but the 180K, that was a long ride for me. I've never done ever that much in training, so I took it quite easy in the start. And only when I reached the 90K, I knew, okay, from now I can do it because I've done 90. And yeah, that's what I mean. Like if you never done something and then you actually do it and you do it better than you thought it's possible, then that's one of the best feelings, definitely.
So when you win your 4th World Championship in Kona, and you break not just break the course record, 8:26, shatter, and break the bike course record by 18 minutes. Did you come away from that feeling like this is the greatest race I've ever had?
That was that 218, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's with the jellyfish.
Yeah, I think it was the craziest race I've ever had. That's for sure, because it was just so not expected anymore. And to turn around the race like this, it really made me feel like, wow, that's pretty crazy. And I thought the year 2016 was the year where I could swim, bike, and run everything like in a flow. So for me, that felt like actually the race where I felt the best.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, then of course it's always hard to compare with the wind and everything. So which one was actually better? I think the 218 was definitely the most crazy race I've ever had, and I think also the race I'm most proud of, because I've never been so close to giving up than in that race, and then actually to have such a great race is still, to me, a little bit crazy when I think about it now.
Well, especially you were 10 minutes down out of the water and ended up winning the race by 10 minutes. So that's a hell of a turnaround.
It was quite a turnaround, yeah. I did already picture myself in the hotel room when I was swimming. I was like, oh, maybe I should just, go to the hotel room. But then I thought, if I'm then at the hotel room and crying and having, pity for myself, it doesn't really help me. And then maybe 3 hours later, you don't know, the jellyfish might not hurt that much anymore. And then you kind of, I think I would have been pretty angry of myself if I then had to think, oh, what would have happened? So that was the reason why I kept going, because I just didn't really want to feel pity for myself.
How long do you want to race, Daniela? I mean, you're still young, but you're doing your first Olympics in 2004. So 16 years ago.
No, 2008.
2008, I'm sorry, yeah. 2008. And so you've been doing the sport for quite a while, even before that first Olympics. How long do you want to race? Is this something you still love?
I don't have a plan, to be honest. I think as long as I enjoy it and as long as I enjoy keep pushing, I definitely think I can keep going for a little while. I mean, Jan Frodeno is I don't know how much
38.
older he is, but I think he's a few years older than me. I think four or five.
Yeah,
So,
you're only 33. You're young.
He's doing pretty good. So yeah, we'll see. I think, I mean, you never know. Like the body has to also, do it with you. You can't really force your body to do something when it doesn't want it. But I, definitely look forward to go, have some races, maybe hopefully next year again. And I do feel like I still want to work on myself. I did do a lot of biking this year, and I do really enjoy, like I've had some like sessions where I'm like, wow, I hope I can show that one day in a race. And so I think the process and the progress is still what I just enjoy a lot. And so I think as long as I feel like I want to make progress, then as long as that happens, I just like going out there and race. Yeah.
A lot of athletes are either doing full Ironman or they're doing 70.3. They're focusing on one or the other. You're one of the few who's doing both on a regular basis in terms of worlds. Is that a hard balance to do? Because when you're doing 70.3, you're getting a lot of Olympic distance people coming up. And when you're doing the full, you've got people who are just focusing on that. And you're trying to beat both of them at both distances. How hard is that? And how do you have to adapt your training to that?
I don't find it too hard, to be honest, because for me, the 70.3 still feels like, actually I enjoy it still more because you can just go all out. But actually I think the Ironman suits me better in terms of my body. So to be able to, I mean, I swim with Olympic athletes, with male Olympic athletes. So they keep me quite busy in the pool. So that definitely helps to also keep my swim up. And I mean, the swim is pretty competitive in the Ironman as well. And so I think 7.3, the pack is a little bit bigger, but in the end, I think it's just about that run speed you have to keep. And I'm lucky that Brett he always tries to keep up the quality as well and not just the volume. So I do enjoy to have to do both, and it definitely gives me the pleasure to actually, being able to switch around and do different races. So I do think as well that 7.3s are great training races for Ironman. So yes. I think it fits together quite well depending on where the World Championship is. Of course, sometimes that can be a little bit tricky, but most of the times they're far enough apart that you can do both.
Are there any races that are still happening for the rest of 2020 that you're aware of, or are you thinking 2021 will be when things will start up again?
Yeah, at the moment I do. I think for me it will be, I mean, we don't know, but I see it more realistic now to focus on 221. In my mind, it's kind of like the next big one will be Kona 221.
Yes.
So it's easier for me to have like a goal that's kind of fixed, where I always change every month to have a new goal. So I look at it a bit more long term now, and just whatever comes, take it on the way, or whatever makes sense, take it on the way. I mean, I'm quite confident there will be races before Kona 221, but who knows? So
who knows?
Prepare for the worst. Yeah. But we hope it all. Yeah, it's tough for everyone. Also the event organization, and I hope it for all of them.
I know. I usually race about 30 times a year, so this not being able to race is driving me crazy. You gotta find someplace. Yeah,
I've never been so long in one place. It's been quite crazy. I think I had 80 days in St. Moritz in one go. And when I drove down, I was like, oh, wow, it feels like I'm quite excited. I was just like back on a highway for once. It felt like all exciting, because up here it's all kind of, it's nice, but it's all very narrow, and you can't go full speed on the highway,
The nice thing is we have avoided getting on planes for a long time, which is sort of nice, not flying anywhere. Just being around is pretty good. Yeah,
I also don't really miss the flying too much, but yeah, I mean, at the moment, it's not the thing that's probably on the highest priority list or on the bucket list to do. Yeah.
Exactly. Daniela, thank you for taking time. It's always so much fun to chat with you. Normally we do it, and right around now, our baker is bringing out your cake for winning 4 seasons for winning the championship.
Not deserved this time. Let's
next year.
Well, let's work for it first, and then see if we deserve it next year. I like that one better.
Daniela Ryf has been our guest. Daniela, you are the very best. Thank you so much for taking time.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks.
Bye.